Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, Madam's Web, and more. I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Strider. Good morning, Roxy.
Would you say it's closer to Madam's Web or Madam Web's?
I think it's like attorneys general, Madam's Web.
Well, not many webs.
Well, there's technically only one Madam Web, and other Spider Women. Technically, I would say
that's a big technicality.
Technically, I'm gonna just jump ahead a little bit. I would say part of the way they're marketing this movie is disingenuous. But you know what? We're gonna get into that. The blockbuster of the month that we're in, which is February 2024, Madam Web. But don't worry, we've got other blockbuster reveals and news to talk about. But before we get into any of that, little business up top, as always. You can watch this show live and other Patreon exclusive shows like What We're Into in Spider-Versity, where Sal and I just talked about Across the Spider-Verse. You can check that over You can check that out over at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Every week on Spotify, we ask you a question. Last week's question was, who would you recast as Avengers in an MCU reboot? Julian Washington II said Zac Efron as Steve Rogers, Glenn Powell as Tony Stark, Elliot Page as Bruce Banner, Zendaya as Black Widow, Andrew Koji as Hawkeye, and Henry Cavill as Thor. And I gotta say, that's a good one. That's a good lineup.
Elliot Page as Bruce Banner would be so interesting.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I misread and I thought they said Elliot Page as Tony Stark. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I see Elliot Page as Bruce Banner. I'm like, that's a winner. That's a winner.
I mean, what an unreal casting.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear casting and you're like, that person should talk to somebody about that?
Yeah, they should look into that. They should look into that because that'd be really good. I think the only one on this that I'm not 100% down for, and maybe this is me being biased to them already being in the MCU, is Zendaya's Black Widow. I'm like, I don't know that I see that one.
It's like difficult because you don't watch Euphoria.
True, that's correct. Yes,
I get where they're going because when I think of Zendaya outside of Euphoria, Zendaya's got like this bubbliness to her but in Euphoria, as a full-blown drug addict, I see what they're saying about Black Widow.
And here's my other issue, and maybe this isn't fair. Zendaya's tiny. She's tiny, and I just have trouble imagining her.
She's tall.
Okay. It's just she seems she seems kind of I have trouble imagining her in like full blown action scenes like taking people out. I have trouble visualizing it, which is not to say that she couldn't do it because she's very talented.
It would be more like a aerobics tall like thing going on. I definitely see what you're saying though.
And I feel like I would push back on Zac Efron as Steve Rogers. However, I haven't seen Iron Claw.
Yeah,
and I have a feeling part of that's influencing this choice. And I was like, I feel like if I see that, I'd get where they're coming from. I feel like
I thought about him, but I'm not kidding and don't know how to say this more respectfully. You can't come back from that time and have as much facial surgery as he does. Like, because that didn't exist then. I don't know that works.
It's the super soldier serum, Roxy. It's the super soldier serum.
That's a wild explanation, and I need a line written just about that.
It's magic. It's comic book magic, all right?
You guys take vitamin C serum, put it on. I did super soldier serum.
Boom.
It's my new face treatment.
So, got a lot to talk about today, but before we get into that, you know what we're going to tell you about, kids, because we're entering into the final days. I think we're entering into the final full week of the campaign. There's a few days after the final full week, so we still got a little bit of runway. But if you've been waiting to go to gunplaymovie.com and back this movie, wait no longer, please and thank you, because once again, as we've said before, you will not get charged until the campaign is over. And also, if the campaign doesn't fund, this movie's not happening. And it's starring your very own Roxy Strider, plus Steve Zaragoza, Whitney Moore, Brie Essrick, James Allen McCune, and many more incredibly talented people, written, directed by me. And so if you've watched this show and you're like, DJ has a lot of opinions, but he should put up or shut up. Well, here's your chance to prove me right and or wrong. By backing
and or wrong.
And or If you want more and/or go back gunplaymovie.com. No, it's an existential crime thriller that is fast paced and irreverent. And I think you guys will really dig it. And you guys can get a signed post. You can get personalized messages from cast and crew members. You can be a producer on it. You can be in the movie. A bunch of incredible opportunities to participate in this process with us. So please, please, please go to gunplaymovie.com and help support it. Roxy, anything I'm missing?
DJ, we need them to do that because we need it. I was thinking that this funding process was going to be like fly by, super easy because it's such a small amount to ask for the lofty goals that we have. And it's not flying as much as I thought it would fly based on. And I know they haven't read the script.
Yes.
So based on me reading the script, I was like, this will be funded immediately because of the script. They don't get the script, but you killed it on the setup. So I'm just like, they have to. We have a week left. Like,
please.
It's a must.
Please, please, please. Yes. And listen, if you want to read the script, there's a tier for that stuff. Fun anecdote. I made these new assets for everybody to share out that had different things people get, like sign poster, producer, whatever. And I had on it, because of the way I had it formatted on the right-hand side, personal messages. Because you can get messages from the cast and crew, right? But if you just glance at it, it looked like personal massages. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And it was some of our female cast members, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. So I had to like, I forget how I phrased it, but it was more of a like video message, you know what I mean? Like more specific to the thing, so it could be less misinterpreted.
I like personal massages. Listen. They think I'm showing up and Steve Zaragoza comes to their house.
Exactly.
Ready for the personal massage.
Personal massage. I'll be right there, everybody. But
joke's on you guys. You give Steve the
massage. Yeah, listen, that's what you're into, man. Anyway, point is, a lot of work going into this. Please go back it. And check it out. Check out our video for more. We'll mention it again at the end of the episode. But now let's get into some news. We got a lot of stuff to talk, a lot of big ticket items this week, but we're going to start with something that the Super Bowl. Super Bowl had ads, surprise. And one of the big ones that I actually missed when it aired because it was pre-Super Bowl was the new trailer for the film that we now know is called Deadpool and Wolverine.
I have not seen this image that you're showing. This is awesome.
Yeah, I guess this is the first official poster. I found this when I was looking for images.
This is what an iconic. I want these necklaces so bad. This is amazing.
So for people that are just listening to the show, it's the first official poster. It's a friendship bracelet with kind of like a Deadpool type mask on one side and a Wolverine type mask on the other side. And it says best friends.
It's a friendship necklace, DJ.
What did I say?
Come on.
What did I say? Bracelet?
Yeah.
Okay. So
okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, guy. Whoops. Sorry, everybody. And we now know this movie is called Deadpool and Wolverine. It is weird to live in a time where Deadpool gets top billing over Wolverine. That's especially with all the like Batman v Superman was technically. I know we talk about it was technically Man of Steel 2. And Batman got top billing over Superman in that. And yet Deadpool 3, Deadpool gets his top billing.
Okay, but I don't know, DJ, because in both of those, you are supposed to go in alphabetical order with lists like that.
Is that the rule? I assumed it was who's the bigger ticket item.
No,
that's why Godzilla goes before Kong.
If you're doing credit, A B C D E F G H I J K.
Yeah.
If you're doing credits for writers on projects, it's by name.
I understand. I still think
Batman versus Superman, Deadpool versus Wolverine, Godzilla versus Kong. It's supposed to flow better, sound better for our ears.
Gotcha. I think I don't know with a lot of the maybe that's true. I always assumed it was just who's the bigger ticket item, and also it's Deadpool's third movie. It's not Wolverine's It's not a Wolverine movie. It's a Deadpool movie with Wolverine.
Cody versus the Swans.
Yeah, I guess. I just feel like, and maybe I'm incorrect about this. I know in like superhero world, in the comics, you'll get a lot of verses, and typically it's like who's the top dog, who's gonna get the top billing there. Less movie credit wise, more like this is the name, this is the bigger name, and it's all if you're reading DC comics, it's almost always Batman. But to your point,
Well, that's
B's
'cause he's
pretty
a bee.
early. B's pretty early. You might be
He's
right.
early.
You might be right.
Like, if you ever see a Batman versus Ant-Man
Yeah.
comic,
Yeah.
the very, very...
Well, I want to say, and I don't know that I can back this up, but I want to say there at a time when Superman was a bigger selling item, it was Superman and Batman. But now that's changed, and it's Batman and Superman, and pretty much every ever. But again, I don't feel like I have the data behind me to back it up. So you're right. You're right. But again, irrelevant because it is Deadpool's third. It's Deadpool 3. We've been calling it Deadpool 3, but I guess now we know is Deadpool and Wolverine. Roxy, did you see this trailer? I hope you did. I sent it to you. And if you did, what did you think of it?
Yeah, actually, DJ, until you sent it to me, I did not watch it.
Shocking.
Which is,
That's
what is my deal with I
don't
watched the
know.
whole Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, but I was at a party. It's like you can't hear anything.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
you said, this one was before. So I missed all of the trailers. Like I had to go back and watch some commercials too.
Yeah.
And then when you sent it to me, I was like, okay, it's finally time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll finally sit and watch this. The trailer had a more serious tone than I thought it would, which is kind of interesting because there still were, of course, a couple jabs and a couple jokes in there.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, with the presence of Wolverine, how that affects the tone of Deadpool.
I would say not just the presence of Wolverine, but just the presence of being the final one. Theoretically, the end of a quote unquote trilogy, and also being part of the MCU. Like the stakes are higher. Like they're really leaning into. We see the TVA. We see. I should have this actor in front of me. It's the actor from Succession who's in it. In this one.
Yeah, Cousin Greg.
Yeah, no, not Cousin Greg.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Something Wilski.
Yeah, who let's be honest, I would have loved to see Owen Wilson, but I love Tom in Succession so much that I'm like this. He's probably not going to be in it as much as I want, but it's like you can't go wrong with that casting.
Womskin, but I don't remember the actor's name.
Yeah, and the actor's name is Matthew Macfadyen.
Matthew Macfadyen. I could have gotten that 10 out of 10 times on a different day.
On a different day. Dude, long-time listeners know the second you need to pull a name, it's like it's gone now. If I just came up in conversation, I would have said it. But
so rude. That was so rude to me. First of all, I called Tom Cousin Greg, which is the worst thing that ever happened to Tom. And
but my favorite pairing, Tom and Cousin Greg, are my favorite pairing in that show.
Brutal.
OTP. But yeah, so we get the presence of the TVA, which of course we've been seeing in Loki, and so there's a lot going on here. I do think that Deadpool is in a unique position to juggle all of those things because it won't feel the need to take all of those elements seriously. Like we don't necessarily need time to unpack each. Like in another movie, I'd be like, wait, is there time to do all this stuff in here? And it's like some of this stuff could just be a joke scene, and then we move on, and it's like that doesn't matter.
Totally, I think that's a really good point. But I do think that this movie is under serious pressure.
Oh, yes.
Like what you said is absolutely right, and yet this movie is under the most pressure that Marvel movie has been under in a long time. To
the point where it almost felt meta, where Deadpool, there's lines in the trailer where he's like, "Oh, I'm Marvel Jesus. I'm here to save the Marvel universe." It's like, is this intentional?
And I think it might be because they're very self-aware in the Deadpool world. I am really excited for this. I liked the trailer a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I started with the fact that it got kind of like a more serious tone. And I don't even know if that's an accurate way to describe it, but like a heavier, you kind of mentioned, more weight to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I think they need to take this movie extremely seriously while making it as Deadpool-y as possible.
Yeah.
I think that they showed the perfect amount.
Agreed.
I thought that they did a great job with that. I wish that this was the last trailer we would see on this because I have a feeling that Mo trailers does not equal Mo better in this situation because good, perfect, sold, stop, done, period. That was it. That ending. Whoa, let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I think my only to your point about being heavier, I got hints that I'm blanking on the character's name. Oh yeah, it is Vanessa. Marina Baccarin's character Vanessa. I got the hints that maybe things aren't going great between Wade and Vanessa at the moment of beginning of the movie, and that lends to the heavier tone. But I do think there is something. You want to give your character an arc, so starting him in a more melancholy place to find where he is in the universe. I will tell you concerns I have, although I should emphasize, like you, Roxy, I really like this trailer. And I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan. I find a little bit goes a long way with the mark with the mouth. Although I did like Deadpool 2 more than Deadpool 1. All that said, I really like this trailer. And it got me excited for the movie in a way that I hadn't anticipated. One concern I have, and it's a concern I've had for a minute, and I've stated this on the show before, that I felt like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine gave whoever comes next in the MCU a huge set of gifts, because there's certain things that we had never gotten in Hugh Jackman's Wolverine that now a new guy gets to do and kind of make his Wolverine definitive in its own way. For instance, we never got Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in the classic yellow and blue costume. We had never gotten his Wolverine as Patch. And obviously in the behind the scenes pictures for this, we've seen that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine gets the yellow and blue costume, and there's a single shot of Wolverine from behind that looks like he's wearing the classic Patch costume. For people that don't know, there was a brief moment in the comics where Wolverine lost an eye, and I think he was in Madripoor and he was hanging out with Hulk as Joe Fixit. And it's just one of those, like, well, shit. Like, now, like, that's cool that Hugh Jackman's doing those things, but you're making it increasingly hard for whoever the next Wolverine is to have something that's distinctly their own. And I'm, you know what I mean? And it's to the,
but they're doing that when Hugh Jackman is, I don't want to throw shade right now, but how old is he? 55?
Yeah.
So I don't think the comparison is like Hugh Jackman in his prime Wolverine in yellow and blue compared to next Wolverine, who will probably, for the next Wolverine, they're probably going to cast somebody who's 28.
Yeah.
So I think at least like they'll wear it differently.
That's true. That's 100% true. It's just one of those, like, and the third thing that I would not be surprised if we get in this movie is we've never seen Wolverine fight Hulk, which is like an iconic pairing in the comics. And it's like, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Mark Ruffalo shows up as Joe Fixit, a gray Hulk in the suit in the movie, which, and that's the other thing. Like, I think you could tell a full story around Patch Wolverine, but if all I can get is a joke in Deadpool, I guess I'll take that. Same with Joe Fixit Hulk. We've never gotten it in the movies. If all I can hope for is that, like, a one-off, one-scene gag in a Deadpool movie, it's like, I guess I'll take it. But
do you think that if that is the case, if Hulk is in this movie, if Ruffalo is in this movie, do you think that we will know that before we see it?
That's a great question. I think typically I would say probably not. However, there are a few benefits in their favor. One of them being that it theoretically could all be motion capture in a studio. So, we see a little bit of it in the trailer. There's this, like, desert fight. And I feel like there's a bajillion people in this fight. Like, we've seen, like, I don't want to get into in case people haven't seen the pictures online, but it's like, hey, here's this person. It's like, God, do they not have, what happened to Marvel's, like, tight, like, no spoilers thing? Whereas if Hulk was in it, it could be mocap in a room. And also, he showed up in this post-credit scene. Mark Ruffalo showed up in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi, and I didn't know about that going in. So maybe
I don't even remember that.
I mean, I don't blame you. It's not a particularly memorable scene. But so they theoretically, I would be a little surprised considering how marquee Hulk is, and like that's a kind of big him doing a little post-credit scene in Shang-Chi is different than, hey, here's a fan favorite version of Hulk that you've never seen that's now in the movie. Feels like it'd be harder to keep under wraps. What do you think?
I almost feel like they would drop it in the trailer.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Like,
please, for the love of God, come see this movie, please.
Yeah, exactly. They are. Oh, I think they are highly aware of how important financially this movie is to them.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to give us everything they got in the trailers, and they're going to like really, really. Their whole goal here is like this has to make them enough money to justify so many future things.
So you think there's not any sense of, well, it's Deadpool and Deadpool makes money, so we can just kind of chill on this one? It's
I think that they think it's Deadpool, so Deadpool makes money. Phew.
Yeah.
And also, we need to make way more.
And also, it's worth pointing out, kind of undermining my previous point, from what I understand, Deadpool tends to make money because Deadpool movies don't cost a lot of money. And I imagine that's not true for this particular Deadpool movie.
How much did Deadpool 1 and 2 make?
Good question. I do not know off of...
Wolverine makes money too.
Yeah, and which is why his name is not Deadpool 3, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. That's, you know what I mean? Deadpool,
further proving they're just like money. Bring it in.
So Deadpool 1 made $782 million off of a $58 million budget. Let's see what Deadpool 2 did.
Deadpool 1 cost $58 million?
Yes.
Wow.
Deadpool 2 made $785 million. Let's see what the Deadpool 2 budget was, because I bet you it wasn't $58 million. Let's see, $110 million for Deadpool 2. So technically, even though Deadpool 2 made slightly more money, it didn't because it cost more to make.
Quite literally double.
Yeah. I wonder, do we know
how much did Deadpool 3 cost? Can we see?
I don't know. Reportedly has a budget of $250 million. Guys, we need to fucking cool it. My guys, we need to cool it.
Like, we have to, because so say that Deadpool 3 or Deadpool Wolverine makes 700.
Yeah, like the other ones. Mm-hmm.
It's making over 100 million less.
Yes.
Like that's, and why? Why did you need it to be like, I guess we'll see. It's just the fact that this is upsetting that when you said the first Deadpool was 58 million, I was shocked because I haven't heard a superhero movie. I haven't heard a tentpole film costing that little in so long. Like, I think Joker cost 70 million or something. And I think we were all like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's like,
sorry, gang. I'm looking up what Madam Web's budget was. 80 million. That is still probably too much for that movie.
like Deadpool 1 cost less than Madam Web.
But I do think we're going to get into it later. Madam Web's misguided for a variety of reasons. But yeah, man, more low budget. Because I think that's something people underestimate about the success of Deadpool is that it made money off of, there are characters that I don't think you need to blow $200 million on to make the movie. And I'll give them a little bit of flexibility or a little bit of grace in that this is the third one of a successful franchise. And they're doing all the multiverse bullshit, which I don't know that Deadpool needs, but I understand with where Marvel's goals are and what they're trying to do, why they're doing it. In fact, I think this might be the only one that it's like, because I'm a little multiversed out, this might be the only one where it's like, yeah, sure, Deadpool, yeah, fine. He's already breaking the fourth wall. Fucking do it. I don't give a shit. Like, totally. Now he gets to make Marvel jokes, whatever, man.
Yeah, they have a lot of creative liberties that they can take for this movie because it's Deadpool.
Yeah. So we do get to have a question from Leonard Kim. Are there any places that you'd like to see Deadpool and Wolverine revisit that wasn't shown in the trailer?
Like physical locations?
That is the implication. Or like, I guess maybe parts of the multiverse, maybe like see him. This would be funny if they like intercut Deadpool into the New York battle in Avengers 1.
That would be that's exactly the kind of thing that I think would be hysterical.
Yeah. What if Deadpool was in was in the Avengers one. You know what, man? You don't watch the What If show, Roxy, but I do wish What If would do shit like that. Like, let's get Ryan Reynolds or sound alike to voice. Let's have an episode. What if Deadpool was in the Battle of New York? Yeah, why not?
Yeah, totally.
Is there anything keeping you from doing that? I don't think so at this point. So just do it. What would I like to see? I would, now that I've said it, even though I would have saved it for the new guy. I doubt that Marvel will ever give me my Joe Fixit patch story that I want. So if all I could get is Hugh Jackman as Patch and Mark Ruffalo as Joe Fixit for like a scene, I will take that shit. Give it to me. Give me one. Just throw me that one bone, and I'll shut up. I'll be happy. So yeah, I think that would be mine. Did you answer yours? Did you have a?
No, I liked your. I don't really think of movies like that. Like I don't really. Not to be. I don't know how to say this kinder, but like I don't really care where they go to visit.
Yeah.
It's more about like the dialogue they're having or the story, what lends itself.
Yeah.
There's not a place that I'm like dying to go back. I guess the only worlds I really feel that way about are like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because there's different planets that we're on, but
you
it's not.
You just
like,
want them to go to Tatooine. That's your.
I just want to go back to that gambling planet.
Yeah, take me, please. Let's go back to Gambling Planet.
No, I just like I'm trying to think of a place that I'm dying to see them, but all the places are kind of the same to me.
Is there a specific character you'd like to see Deadpool bounce off of?
Yeah, Harley Quinn.
It might be in this movie. that might be in this movie.
How badly do you want a Deadpool Harley Quinn?
I mean, yeah, that'd be great.
You asked me.
I know, but yeah, I felt like rules were implied there.
Okay.
That might be in this movie. I felt that implication was clear.
No, I mean, I do think we're in Deadpool's world more than Wolverine, so I do think it could be interesting to see Deadpool interact more in the world of Wolverine, like like a darker bounce to somewhere in Logan tone. But no, anybody I really want to see.
The one I'd really like to see is Hulk, but truthfully, as far as the Deadpool of it all. Because you just mentioned like we're more in Deadpool's world than Wolverine's world, and I threw in what I'd like to see Wolverine interact with and I think this would work better as a post-credit gag. I'd like to see Deadpool bounce off She-Hulk. Like I feel like there has to be some acknowledgement that they're the two characters that break the fourth wall.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool. I'm just nervous about like the She-Hulk of it all seems to just make it so that the only thing people can talk about is how much they effing hate her.
Yeah.
Like, which is so unfortunate.
You don't think the Deadpool fans would embrace She-Hulk with open arms?
I don't.
No, okay.
I really don't. Like somebody commented on one of I did Christian Harloff's show this week, and I was talking about how Madam Web, spoiler alert, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're not listening to a word that I'm saying because they're just like typical Roxy being a Madam Web apologist because she's a She-Hulk apologist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you actually can't possibly think that that's what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like not able to hear. And I think putting She-Hulk in this, like people just like see red. It is so weird. What She-Hulk has done to people is like what Rose Tyka did to people. I mean, there's
I feel like part of the backlash with She-Hulk has to be that She-Hulk so clearly had the number of a specific fan and went out of its way to like, hey, these guys, fuck these guys, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't take it well. They didn't take it well.
No, they didn't. But that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, that kind of accomplishes what I'm attempting to do with the Harley Quinn of it all, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'm trying to think of somebody who's a little more batshit than She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Because Deadpool's really fun. Like, who do we want to see him with, like a crazy night of drinking with? Or, like...
Maybe Loki with TVAs in here.
Oh, that would be really fun.
Yeah.
Or even, like, what's Girl Loki?
Oh, yeah, Sylvie.
Sylvie.
Yeah.
Something like that could be cool because I'm kind of confused on where Loki has to be right now and
Mhm.
when we are on this timeline.
And
So
also, does that matter in a
I
Deadpool
don't know.
movie?
I
Could
don't
it be,
know.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't, because I had the same question when I said that. I was like, wait, he's in the world tree or whatever. Oh, wait, but does that matter? It's a Deadpool movie. Does that matter? I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
like, I had somebody the other day that was like, wait, isn't Wolverine dead? And I was like, well, wow, this really, I thought it's a Deadpool movie. Like, who cares? I didn't know that people, and also, I don't think Logan didn't feel in continuity with the other X-Men movies, but whatever. I'm a nerd for this shit. So, let's talk about the other big announcement this week. Major announcement. Weirdly, like a low-key way of announcing what has been madly speculated about for what feels like years now. We finally got, on Valentine's Day, Marvel dropped this lovely piece of art, by the way. Near as I can tell, done by a real artist because he was tweeting about it. Announcing the official cast of their Fantastic Four movie. And that cast is Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, Eben Moss-Bachrach as The Thing, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, and of course, one Mr. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Roxy, you have a concerned face.
No,
Okay.
no.
Roxy
I'm
hates
just
it.
looking. I'm looking at the artwork because I liked this and noticed that they put it on the IMDb page as their main picture for this movie
Yeah.
too, with a Happy Valentine's Day banner. You saw the whole thing that goes above.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thought that was really cute, and I liked the art a lot too, and thought it was smart to have Evan Moss in the.
Mm-hmm. In the picture frame and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, listen, do I think this is the most inspired casting I've ever seen? No.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's like pretty spot on, and I love all four of these actors. To me, are like when we talk about actors, right? We talk about like star power. All four of these actors are like Oscar caliber actors, which is interesting. You know, they are all four, not just like not to put down The Rock, but
Yeah.
none of them are like that. None of them are like stunt actors. That's not nice. The Rock's talented, very
Yeah.
talented, but just you know,
He's in a
doesn't
specific
lose the
type of movie.
element. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. These are all four like very serious actors.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. That we've got they. I'm curious what they're going to have them do. That they decided to cast for like. I think that I always just call him Eben Moss because I don't know how to say
Oh yeah, I probably pronounced it wrong. Yes.
Eben Moss-Bachrach.
Bachrach, but yeah, is how I would pronounce it.
He to me is like maybe the best working actor today.
Mm.
I think he reminds me a lot of Adam Driver.
Okay.
He is so skilled and like you can watch when he's performing. From watching him, I've been following him for years and years and years and years. I fell in love with him on Girls, similar to Adam Driver. Obviously, everybody with the Bear loves him. A second reference to Andor in tonight's episode. He was on The Dropout, which I talked about on this show all of the time. To me, he is just and Punisher. He is so nuanced. He is so good. I never in a million years would have thought this would have been his next role.
Yeah, I think that it is him as the Thing. Him and Vanessa Kirby are the two, like, yes, slam dunks, 100%, absolutely. The only downside with him is that this kind of, to me, officially means that we'll never be back as Micro. And him and John Bernthal as Micro and Frank was like really good. Like that really elevated, that relationship really elevated season one. And not that I ever expected him to return, but now that you mention it, it's like, oh, that does mean that he'll probably never. I mean, he's a rock man in this one, so maybe, but it's like we'll probably never see him as Micro again, which is a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think the same thing about Vanessa Kirby. Honestly, I think she is like a true star.
Yeah.
When I saw her in The Crown, I thought it was like maybe the best performance on that show of any performance on that show.
Who'd she play on The Crown?
She played Princess Margaret,
Okay.
and she was like DJ out of this world fantastic.
Yeah.
I really, and then the next thing I saw her in was Mission Impossible,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
that's Vanessa Kirby. Like she is so good. So, and obviously we know what we think about Pedro Pascal. We talked more about that last week as we kind of had that announcement slip. And the only thing I know Joseph Quinn from is the only thing that the world knows Joseph Quinn from really is Stranger Things. Some people know him from Overlord too, but and I watched him in something else recently too, a little bit. I don't remember what, but Stranger Things being the main thing.
Yeah.
And he seems really, really talented too. So
Yeah.
it's like hard to rip on this cast in any way. All really good people. I saw a lot of hate for Pedro Pascal online. I know people kind of wanted a younger actor in that role. A lot of hate for him online because people wanted a whiter actor in that role.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of like we talked about last week, DJ, would Pedro Pascal have been my pick for Reed Richards? Maybe not. Do I think he'll probably knock it out of the park? I do.
Yeah, I am hopeful. Again, I love this art. I think I didn't see Stranger Things, and I did not know Joseph Quinn was in Overlord, but I did see that movie.
You didn't see Stranger Things?
No, I don't watch Stranger Things. I don't care for Stranger Things.
You didn't see it at all?
We discussed it on the show, so I watched the last episode of whatever the most recent season was.
And just that one?
Just that one.
I remember that.
That was the bit for that episode. Was I just watched the finale?
Yeah.
And I was confused for the most part. But so I know everybody loved him. I'm sure it'll be great. Obviously, I have a lot of love for Vanessa Kirby.
He's in Game of Thrones also, but just one episode, which I don't remember.
Joseph
either.
Quinn?
Yeah.
Is he British?
Joseph Quinn is, I don't know.
Goddamn Brits. Something else worth mentioning is people are taking, there's other reveals in here, like based off what the artist said for this. This might be because he talked about collaborating with Marvel's longtime concept artist. This might be our first look at their costumes as well, which I think is a very interesting take. I do love the tone of this image. I do have some concerns. One of them being
from London, by the way.
Goddamn Brits. Taking all the. I will say, my wife and I just watched Last Voyage of the Demeter, and the lead guy in that is an American playing a Brit, and I'm like, good,
get him,
get him. But anyway, I do have some concerns, and this is not to say that obviously, similar to the Pedro Pascal thing, I'm very open to being proven incorrect on this. One of them is the magazine thing is holding. Is from 1963. People are taking that to mean that this movie not only will be set in the 60s, but might be set in an alternate universe. I'm not a big fan of that. Why
would that mean that it was set in an alternate universe?
I think people are assuming that because if there was a major superhero team doing major superhero stuff in the 60s, we would have heard about it in the MCU at this point, especially since we've stopped back in that time with Ant-Man. I think that is on the one hand, a reasonable thing to assume, but also, superheroes, who knows? My problem with that is that one, I think you can hit that kind of science optimism retro tone without having it literally be set in the 60s. One, two, if they start in the 60s, there's no way they stay in that era. There's no way. I mean, obviously they'll probably team up with everybody in Secret Wars, but there's no way like moving forward, they're not like part of the MCU. And we already have at least two time displaced heroes in the MCU. We have Steve Rogers and Carol Danvers that started we already have two period piece Marvel movies. And so I don't find that notion as exciting as I think some other people do. It's like, been there, done that. I just have them be a part of the universe. I don't need extra layers between them and everybody else. I don't need them to be in a different dimension or a different time. Just have them be now.
Do you think they should be here and now?
Yeah. I think just set them in the. I'm worried that Marvel has struggled. They're experimenting more with this, but Marvel has struggled to tell different stories in different tones. There's the kind of the Marvel house style, and so I'm worried this is a victim of that. Like, well, how can we have this kind of like retro tone unless it's literally in a different time? It's like, well, just have a different tone, man. Like, I don't know. To the point when the Marvel Netflix shows were airing, I remember a lot of people saying, well, it has to be in a different universe because the tone's so different. It's like, I don't, in the fucking comics, man, like, everybody had a different tone, but they're all set in the same time. It doesn't all need to feel the same, guys. Like, you don't need to literally set it in the 60s to have that feel. That's a feel, that's a vibe, that's an aesthetic. You can just do that. So I don't know. I don't know if that is the case, but that's what people are
obviously it's different because of the circumstance around it, but we did similar stuff with Wanda. Like, she's not actually that. I'm just saying tonally.
Well, and it's the same director of WandaVision. It's directing Fantastic Four. So there's something to that. But even some people have said, like, well, it could be like in the comics where they go up into space and they get their powers, and then when they come back, it's the modern day. And it's like, yeah, that's Steve Rogers. We've done that. You know what I mean? It's a little different with Carol because it's not like she vanished for that. She was around. She didn't like suddenly go from the 90s to the present and be like, oh, things have changed. But it's just, tonally, it's too similar. I think I don't know. I don't like it personally, but it could be great.
But what if I just don't know, DJ, then how you introduce them here and now.
I think you look at what they're doing with, what is it, Saber, I think. And you say like, listen, we had an alien guy do a snap. We are now in a moment that is no Avengers, no Shield. And so we're sending out these astronauts to experiment on stuff, and they get hit by cosmic rays and come back as the Fantastic Four. Like there's one of a number of reasons in this universe why you'd send people out into space to dick around and do science. Come up with one, and then they come back and they have powers, and then they're kind of
so they're current day astronauts.
Yeah, current day science explorers. That could even work for Saber. My big pitch would always be, I want to say there was a comic at one point where Sue Storm joined SHIELD. And it's like, you could even say Sue Storm is a former SHIELD agent. Use that, not to sound too much like Hector in our previous conversations, but use that previous continuity to inform, where instead of going back and pretending none of the other stuff happened, use that current continuity to inform what you're doing now. It's just, if they're in the past or if they're in an alternate dimension, now we have to explain how they get with the rest of the characters, either through like a reboot in Secret Wars or whatever. It's like, just have them be here. Like, I don't know.
It's kind of interesting thought. Leonard Kim said it'd be cool if they were in the universe that Monica Rambeau gets trapped in.
I hate that because that's,
I don't hate
that. One, that universe is confusing, and it deals with like,
that universe is confusing. This would make it less confusing, I think, though.
Is it? Because what's confusing about it is like, what if the 90s cartoon X-Men were also the X-Men movie X-Men? What? I don't like. All that stuff is the stuff that makes me agree with certain people that it's like, yeah, Marvel doesn't know what they're doing, man. Like, what's going on?
I feel very conflicted about, like, I like your pitch on how we should get them involved, but I do think there's something really cool about a 60s tone for this movie.
I agree with the tone, just maybe not the little setting.
But to me, 60s is so specific that you can't get a 60s tone without a setting. Like, the 60s are their own unique vibe.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we have them current day, current situation, send them up into space and have that feel at all retro. We could have it feel different, and we could have the tone be like trendier almost. Yeah. But I don't know. But at the same time, I'm also with you where I'm exhausted from the alt universes. Yeah. And I was explaining how people get there. I'm exhausted from bringing back people from different time periods and bringing them forward. And you're right. There's no way we go to the 60s, stay in the 60s. Yeah. And then we're just like, screw you guys. This is where we are for our next 3 movies. Yeah. Our
brand new Fantastic Four is also not connected to the rest of the MCU. It's like, what are we doing? What? What?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, do we start in the 60s? I think if they are in the 60s, I would rather them not be in an alt universe, and I'd rather some kind of explanation of why we didn't know about them. I don't know.
Which you could totally do. Truthfully, I know people are like, how would people not mention it? Dude, movies and comics have been doing that shit for decades, man. Like, hey, there was heroes during this time that we didn't mention. Well, wouldn't you have mentioned them? Maybe. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Who gives a shit? And truthfully, to that point, Roxy, I kind of when the Netflix shows were going on, the Daredevil Defender shows, that was right around the time that David Simon's The Deuce was on HBO, and that was set in the 70s Hell's Kitchen. And it was one of those, like, especially at the time when it really felt like those Netflix shows were never going to connect to the MCU properly. It's like, man, it would have been so cool to set these shows in the 70s. You know what I mean? And have like Frank be a Vietnam vet, and have like, and then you can say, especially since they were street level, like Captain America or Iron Man's not going to mention that group of heroes in Hell's Kitchen in the 70s. Like, that's not going to come up. And then you kind of like, I don't know. At the time, it felt really cool. Now I'm kind of glad we didn't, because Charlie Cox's Daredevil's around and could theoretically
that's the thing. It's like not forward thinking to do something like that, but we can't deny that technology often makes movies less interesting. Like this happens all the time with the technology that we have today. Like, we just, in every shot, there's a cell phone. If you need to find something, you just beep, boop into your phone.
Yeah.
Like, there is something really cool about going to the 60s and having to be an innovative person to try to figure things out.
Yeah.
Watching people have real conversations. Like, all the time I'm watching movies from today and I'm like, that's not realistic, because you would just Google it. Why did you go to the library and check out an encyclopedia?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot tell me you're in 2024 if you are making a trip to the library. So, and this stuff happens. So I really do like, we've spent a lot of time in superhero movies in the 90s. We've done we've done it. 60s, cool vibe, cool tone. I don't know if you can accomplish that otherwise. Brings up other problems though. So
we'll see.
I think, I'm not the writer of this movie, so
yeah, we'll see. And I'm hoping to prove wrong. The other thing, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it was like looking at this image, it's like, oh my God, it's a thing. Look, it's Johnny Storm. There's Sue Storm. Oh, and look, Pedro Pascal's getting to hang out with the rest of the Fantastic Four. Like, it's like clearly, like, that's just Pedro Pascal. You know what I mean? And I think I would feel the same way. At one point, it was Matt Smith was the one, and I think I'd feel the same way if it was Matt Smith. Like, oh, look, Matt Smith's there. Again, my go-to, I liked Dev Patel a lot. There was another person that had been rumored for a while that I was like, oh, that would have been good. But like the 60s setting, and as you mentioned, Pedro Pascal is like an award-winning actor. Both probably. I would have to imagine. He's got to have won something, right? Anyway, so again, not my first choice, but really talented. And I'm looking forward to being blown away.
Which of these four is your favorite casting?
It's a toss-up between
Evan
Moss and Vanessa Kirby.
EJ?
Probably Vanessa Kirby.
Okay.
What about you?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
she's just really good.
Well, and also,
that's the most basic of the casting, though. So I feel torn. Because...
the other thing, and the truth is, I say that as I look at this image, and there's so much personality in her shot. And Evan Moss's defense, like, he's a rock monster. Like, obviously he's in the picture behind, but he's a rock monster here. You know what I mean? But I do think they, and again, I probably feel the same way about Joseph Quinn. Except I didn't watch Stranger Things.
Do you think that this was auditions, or do you think that this was straight offers?
I would imagine both Reed and Sue were straight offers. I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny.
I would have to think that Joseph Quinn had to audition his butt off for this.
I think both. I would imagine both Johnny and Thing auditioned. Not that those two actors aren't incredible. I just don't know that they're big enough to get the straight offers.
Interesting.
Yeah. But again, I think Evan Moss is perfect, because, like, from what I've seen of the Bear, because I watched the first season, I mean, Thing's not too far removed from Cousin. Like, we're in the same ballpark. You know what I mean? So I think that's great. We did get a question on the Discord. Stace and Jatham, with this cast, who do you think should play Dr. Doom? Adam Driver. That was the other one that I thought would have been a good Mr. Fantastic, but they'd have to do his hair different.
He'd be a good Dr. Doom?
Yes, if he would do it. I don't know that he needs Marvel at this point in his career, but yes, I think he'd be great.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't need. Let's see. Okay, tell me what you think about some of these people.
Yes.
With this cast, this is coming from Fandom wire. Mads Mikkelsen.
Obviously. I don't know that he'd do it. I think it'd be great. Here's the other important thing. Traditionally, Reed Richards and Dr. Doom went to school together, so they need a couple things. They need. For my perfect casting, they'd be close in age, and two, weirdly, they need chemistry. Like our Reed and our Doom need a lot of chemistry.
Daniel Craig.
And I think Mads Mikkelsen would kill. I think him and Pedro Pascal would be great together. Seeing those two bounce off together, ooh, it'd be exciting. Daniel Craig, less excited. Great actor, love him. Less excited.
Michael Fassbender.
Nah, he already did Magneto for a while. I think we're good.
James McAvoy.
No, what the fuck are we doing?
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it. He would never do it, but he'd be great.
Why do you think he would never do it?
I don't think he gives a flying fuck about superhero movies. He seems bothered that he has to do press for Oppenheimer. Could you imagine having to do press for a superhero movie? No way.
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah. I mean, I'm bummed because the poor guy constantly gets cast as villains, but he's really good at it.
John Hamm.
You know what? When I think about it, him and Pedro Pascal together, I see it.
Luke Evans.
Sure. I like Luke Evans. Sure.
Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie? No.
That's such an wild pick.
Yeah.
Dan Stevens. So that would make him too young, right?
That would make him too young. I do love Dan Stevens.
Giancarlo Esposito.
No. No. Sorry, everybody. People also want him Professor X, and I think that's bad too.
Viggo Mortensen.
Always. I also don't think he would ever do it, but yeah, I'll take him in anything.
Nikolai Costa-Waldau.
Oh yeah, he'd be great. He'd be great too, because I also like the idea of, the trick with Doom is that he got like a minor scratch, and his vanity was so great that he put on the iron mask when it was too hot and fucked up the rest of his face. So I like the idea of like getting like a beautiful person to play Dr. Doom.
Yeah, that's interesting. Coleman Domingo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been rumored to replace Jonathan Majors as Kang. I love Coleman Domingo. Fuck yeah. Would he be my first pick as Doom? I don't know, but get him in here. He's so talented. And the good thing with him is his voice is great. He's got a great voice. And so if we only see the mask, ooh, the voice kills it.
He does have a perfect voice.
Oh, the voice is so good.
Andrew Lincoln was the last one I'm going to throw you.
I want to know your thoughts. You're a Walking Dead fan. What do you think of Andrew Lincoln as Doom, as Dr. Doom?
It wouldn't be my first pick. I think he's so great. And I do think he could do villain, but I just don't see it necessarily.
What about, so you read me that whole list and you got my reactions. You didn't react to one.
You didn't ask me.
I did. The question was to both of us. Technically, I did ask you. I asked you first.
I had all the same thoughts as you, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is the most difficult role to cast.
Doom, yeah. You just need somebody.
Think there's a lot of directions.
The only issue, I think the only thing that makes it challenging is that, Marvel has a history of being known for weak villains. And it's like, you got to nail Doom because he's one of your big ones. He's one of your go-to guys. And so, I think Mads Mikkelsen would bounce off Pedro Pascal really well. I think there was a couple other ones in there that were really good.
We've just seen it.
True. But I still want give me a good Doom. All righty, everybody. We've put it off long enough. Let's talk about Madam Web, the new Sony Spider-Verse movie.
Get them in their costumes, DJ.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be so cool when we see them in their costumes for a big chunk of the movie. This movie is directed by S.J. Clarkson, who directed a few episodes of Jessica Jones and a bunch of other things like Succession. It was written by Matt. Whenever we watch a movie like this, I can't wait for the writer's credit to come up. And this one was like the full screen, like, hey, here's all these writers, story by, it's like, yeah, all right, yeah. Matt Sazama, Burke Sharpless, Claire Parker, and S.J. Clarkson. Cassandra Webb develops the power to see the future. Forced to confront revelations about her past, she forges a relationship with three young women bound for powerful destinies, I guess, if they can all survive a deadly present. As of when I wrote this document on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 67%. I do want to see if that's still true. Roxy, you surprised me a little bit just now when you were talking about when you're on Christian show. Because when we talked after seeing the movie, so it's a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 54% audience score. You seemed more on board with this movie than maybe I felt.
How?
Should I bring up the tape? Should I roll back the tape? Hold on.
I called it. I said it was not unwatchable. Maybe via text that came off a different way.
You said it's not great, but I didn't think it was as bad as everyone claimed it is going to be.
Yeah, that is how I feel.
Okay, yeah, stand by it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I think that. Well, everybody said that it was going to be the worst movie I'd ever seen. And it was not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's just a bad movie. Yes. It's an average bad movie. Like, I think that this is in line with the other superhero movies that I don't like. This is in line with a Morbius. I actually think that it might be slightly better than that movie.
I was talking with Sam, and I was a little bit conflicted in that I was like, is this worse than Morbius? On the one hand, no Jared Leto, and that makes this better.
She's just way more likable than he is. So
yeah. On the other hand, it's really. I'll tell you as a comic fan, the fact that I watched a movie in 2024 that featured Madam Web facing off with Ezekiel Sims, two of the worst Spider-Man characters, is baffling to me. Like, who told you all about Madam Web and Ezekiel Sims? who informed you execs of these characters? And what made you think we should build a movie around these characters? I'm sorry, Roxy, I cut you off. Continue on your thoughts.
No, I mean, I think the worst part of the movie is he's the worst villain of any superhero movie I have ever seen. He's a really horrible villain.
Yeah.
Not horrible as in like he's evil. Horrible as in bad.
Yeah.
Does not work. Not one aspect of him worked. And to the point where I'm sorry, I don't know who the actor is. I don't know that this is true, but it was like the worst performance ever for me. But I don't know that has anything to do with him.
I've heard that actor. I haven't looked it up. I've heard that actor has been good in other things. He did not get an opportunity to be good in this movie. I'll say that.
No, he certainly did not.
Yeah.
He certainly did not. I actually think that Dakota Johnson was made, the parts that were tolerable were because of her, for me.
I'm so sorry. The guy that played Ezekiel Sims was in A Prophet, which is a fucking great movie. What happened here? Because he's in Napoleon? Oh shit, I think you know who he was in Napoleon. He was good in Napoleon. What the fuck happened here? Sorry, Roxy. Didn't mean to cut you off again. Dakota Johnson, the parts that were tolerable.
That accent in
don't think so. I don't think so.
What was his accent?
I think we're supposed to understand. So a good chunk of this movie takes place in the Peru, I believe, right? Peru.
Yeah.
And I think he's supposed to have a Peruvian accent.
Okay, that's not what that was.
Yeah.
It sounded like Lithuanian or something. I don't know. The whole villain thing, I can't explain one thing. I can't say one kind thing about it. Unfortunately, I thought that was just really, there's even one scene that with the villain that I think is maybe the most egregious scene in the entire movie where he's in bed with another girl. That's how I'll describe it. Or I was just like,
by the way, we are going to do spoilers for this movie because fuck this movie, and also I can't not. I can't.
From the top?
Not from the top. Not from the top. We'll keep it spoiler free for right now. But
okay. So spoiler free. I thought that, the first question I've been asked by everybody is like, who hadn't seen it was like, how are they in their costumes for a lot of the time? Is there a lot of fighting? And the answer is no and no. I actually would argue that there's a world in which I could say they're in their costumes for none of the time.
Yeah. To the point where the way they market the movie is kind of egregious. Yeah.
The most problematic part of the movie is that this is really not a superhero movie. And that's like, okay, if we're gonna do this, right? Like, there is actually. I'm not saying that we ever should have done a Madam Web movie, but there was a Madam Web movie with those other three girls
Yeah.
that could have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
This was not that.
Yeah.
But instead we like held back for what I would presume is because Madam Web 2. I mean, I just was like,
the people behind this movie were so convinced they had a winner. They're like, yeah, we're gonna really bank hard on Madam Web 2.
yeah, I actually, unfortunately, too, and this is why I don't blame the actors. I thought that Sydney Sweeney was really, really tough to watch in this.
Oh, really? Okay, so for me, the highlights were I actually thought Dakota Johnson was allowed to. She has a lot of moments where she gets like the call to action, and she's like, "No, thanks." And like whenever she got to be kind of like sarcastic and human, I thought she was great. Anytime she got freighted with like really dog shit, like the future is important, you never know what the future, like those types of monologues, it wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't a good fit, and probably because the dialogue wasn't great either. I liked these four when these characters were together. That's when I liked the movie the most. But I also think, I don't know. I think I would have picked one Spider Girl. So because we never really get to understand who these characters are, other than like she's the smart one, her dad's rich, she's mousy, I guess. Sydney Sweeney's ones, I guess she's insecure. I don't, whatever.
The Isabella Merced is my favorite of the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
She just felt the most natural. I really like Celeste O'Connor because I had just watched the movie Freaky, and she's very good in it. I think Sydney Sweeney is an absolute powerhouse. I didn't believe for a single second that she's not the hottest girl in school. Like the way that they were like, nobody thinks she's cute and she's just nerdy. Also, an unbelievable ways to throw in there that, and this isn't a big spoiler, that she can do Taekwondo.
Oh yeah, doesn't pay off at all. That 100% felt like a setting something up, and then nothing comes of it.
I was like, why did you guys do that? Like that, I felt that way through so much of the movie. Why did you do that? Like, why did you do that? Why did you say, I actually took years of this for self-defense? Because I was so badly picked on that I am actually a crazy great martial artist.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm going to store that because for sure we're going to see her kick some ass.
Nope.
I mean, zero. And I was just like, okay, so did you guys write that line and then shoot something that was dope and then didn't use it, but then cut the line? Like, or did you just think that that was an interesting like character motivation and it wasn't? There was just so many moments with her character where I was like, I don't believe you at all.
Yeah.
And you've done nothing to show me or prove to me at all. And I do think that the dynamic of the girls together was fun sometimes, but I like my superhero movies to superhero.
Yeah. And so like, I think we can edge into spoilers a little bit at this point because that was the, God, Roxy, there's so many things. Like one, did Ezekiel get bitten by that spider? Are we supposed to understand and that's how he got his powers? Because I don't think the movie ever articulates that.
Okay, so she gets her powers through the healing process in the water with the spiders.
Yes.
But doesn't come out until she's in the water again.
Until she dies. When she like drowns.
Oh, that's your understanding is that she died?
They say that multiple times, that she was dead for like 3 minutes.
Get dead for 3 minutes, not died.
I mean, yeah, like, I mean that's the implication.
3 minutes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's the way they phrase it. That she was dead and they pumped her heart back to life.
Yeah. Just usually like, they say that at the hospital too. If you you flatline for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Up to 7 minutes, I think, or whatever you can do.
Yeah, I think it was something longer than the time you're supposed to be dead. But also, I don't know how he would know that. If he dove in after, like, how would you know at which point her heart stopped beating?
She's like, okay, she hit the water.
Yeah. Yeah, but she hasn't drowned when she hit the water. You got to wait.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know. But okay, so that's how she did it. He has a spider.
And so he
I
must
don't
have
know.
gotten the powers the same way the Peruvian spider people. Here, God, guys, fuck. I don't like when we get into the magic stuff with Spider-Man, and Ezekiel Sims and Madam Web are both that. And I hate it. And I hate that there's a movie with them facing each other. Also, I think I feel like you can look through this movie and see a draft. There is a draft of this movie that exists that it is Peter Parker is the John Connor, and Mary Parker is the Sarah Connor, and Cassandra has to save them. Like I can see that there was a draft where Ezekiel sees a future where Spider-Man beats him, so he decides to kill Mary Parker before Peter Parker is born, and Cassandra has to save him. And for some reason, and even though I don't want that movie, I can understand the existence of that movie better, as opposed to what if instead of Peter Parker, it was 3 characters we've never met before. We barely articulate,
but they're all connected somehow, and why?
Unclear.
Why do we have to see all of them before the train?
Because again, I think like you, I presume based on what you said, Roxy, that I figured at some point before the end of the runtime, they would have gotten their powers, and I would have seen how they got their powers. And since we didn't, my now assumption is, and when they do stuff, it's like the abilities they have in the comics, which tells me maybe like the comics, they all get their powers differently. So how are they connected?
Yeah, like through that train moment, they didn't. And so I don't know. And if they're not connected, then, and he sees that they didn't get their powers on the train like they're supposed to in that moment, then maybe leave them alone.
Yeah, and also his vision doesn't matter. That's not how he dies. He doesn't die the way he sees in his vision.
Right.
So
right, that's what she says. Like, you were worried about the girls the whole time when it was me.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. And also, DJ, what is your understanding of what his powers are?
My understanding is
the future also, but wrong.
Oh, that's right, because he's having visions of the future.
Right.
I assume basic bitch Spider-Man powers.
Because they say to her, you're the only one who can see.
No, you're the only one that can change the future.
You can change the future. Okay, but
whatever that means.
And they all can see?
Only when you say all, you mean the other Peruvian spider people?
Yes.
One presumes yes. But it's like, I just don't know. And again, like maybe if you just chose Sydney Sweeney's Spider-Woman, then maybe if we got more Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, that would be more time to flesh out both of them, as opposed to trying to spread it out. But I just don't know what the
how
decision
is Sydney Sweeney a Spider-Woman?
How does Julia Carpenter? That was the other thing. They keep calling her Julia Cornwall in the movie, and it's Julia Carpenter in the comics. I didn't understand that. Maybe she has Cornwall as like a mother's maiden name or something, or maiden name. I don't know. How did Julia Carpenter get her powers in the comics? I think she got them in Secret Wars.
But Spider Bite?
No, I don't think any of the other those Spider Women get it from Spider Bite.
Okay.
And they're all, and none of them are connected in the comics, other than all at one point they either had the acronym Spider Woman or Spider Girl. That's it.
Why did we introduce any of them?
Exactly. What the purpose of why?
I don't know. You know what's weird about this movie, and like I don't know how to phrase this kinder, so I'm just gonna say it. I believe most movies' goals are to make money. It feels like that wasn't the goal of this movie.
Elaborate. What was their goal? To infuriate us?
I don't know. I just don't know how you could bring this script.
Yeah.
And say, here's what we're like. This is what we are doing.
Yeah. We're
casting a lot of celebrities. We've got for full spoilers, we've got Emma Roberts. We've got Zosha Mamet. We've got Adam Scott. We've got Sydney Sweeney, who's like the biggest star of this time right now. We've got Dakota Johnson. So we're putting stars in this movie. Yeah. We're picking characters that nobody cares about. Yeah. Which has been done in the past. Guardians, right? Yeah. Okay.
Nobody knows about, and we're not going to introduce them, by the way. Right. Really.
Characters that nobody knows about. But then we're starting at their origin story and actually never going to get to the origin story.
Yes.
So this is a prequel to the Powers. So this is a superhero movie with stars, with almost no fighting sequences, no costumes, a villain that is like whose motivation is really challenging to understand.
Yes.
And get behind. Who has a sidekick who's looking into all this stuff, who's a woman who clearly has qualms with the teenage aspect of this, but that never comes up.
We never follow up with that. Exactly. She doesn't turn on him, nothing.
Like just the choices that they make, and then they're like, and that is going to make us, we're not going to do anything to do with Peter Parker, no reference.
To the point where it feels like it's a footnote. Like, why did we even include this then?
Great responsibility requires power. That is great also.
Yes.
Whatever the flip on its head. And that's how we're going to make money. It just doesn't feel like this would be something that somebody would sign off on as a moneymaker. So it makes me wonder, like, what was their intention? If that was their intention, why would you bring in the writers from Morbius?
You're right. This feels like a movie made on a dare. Like,
right.
Like they just grabbed concepts out of a hat and like, let's see if we can make this work, everybody.
And at the same time, when I say that it wasn't unwatchable, what I mean is that like it was lit. Well, some of the world around was interesting enough. I like Dakota Johnson, so I could watch paint dry because I think she's a big star.
Yeah.
To me, it was a watchable movie, isn't it? It was not like a student film.
Yeah.
Because I had heard that it was like unviewable.
Yeah.
And it's watchable like any of the worst superhero movies are.
Yeah.
But every choice they made feels like they just didn't have to make it. And that I don't know how you get that far into this movie and do that.
To the point where even the setting doesn't make sense to me. So this movie's happening as Peter Parker's being born, and it's set in 2007, which means it's too late to be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It's too late to be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and it's even too late to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Is that true? 2007, is that too late to be Tom Holland's?
That's less than, because he showed up in 2016. The Captain America Civil War was 2016.
Yeah.
So that's less than 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so I guess we're supposed to assume in the Sonyverse it's a different. Let me throw this out there, Roxy. And again, I can't stress this enough. I think this movie was misconceived from the jump. Don't make a Madam Web movie. Madam Web sucks. How about this though? Madam Web, let's keep the basic premise and the stupid Peruvian jungle shit at the beginning. Maybe growing up, she's always had visions, right? And in the moment she dies in that accident, she realizes not only does she see possible futures, she can travel to alternate dimensions. And she realizes this Ezekiel Sim guy is trying to kill Mary Parker before Peter Parker can be born. Well, shit, my only power is that I can go to alternate dimensions. And so she goes and she picks up these other Spider Women from alternate realities that are already Spider Women.
They're already her Spider Women. And that's what they have in common.
Yep. That they have powers, they fight crime, and maybe you can even go farther that in their own universes, they've beaten Ezekiel Sim. So it's like, well, maybe if I get a few of these people, we can take out this guy. And then we get to find out, well, here's how I became Spider-Woman. Here's how I became out Spider-Woman. And we all Spider-Women differently, so we all butt heads, but we have to learn to work together as Team Spider-Woman. That's something, right? There's something there, right?
That's a definite concept and pitch. That's a definite concept and pitch. The pitch is all the F over the place. There's one thing about the movie, one aspect that I thought worked.
Yeah.
It's very common. We see it in movies all the time, but I like this. I think my mom is one thing when actually she's something else.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah. Grew up my whole life hating her because I thought she was negligent parent. Find out she was actually doing this for me.
Yeah.
We never really fleshed that out on what that would do for your psyche. I'm not fully convinced that woman's only option was in fact going
Magical Amazon spider. Yeah.
So many follow-up questions on that.
Yeah.
But do like a storyline of thought my parent hated me my whole life, realized they were doing everything for me.
Yeah.
That's a trope that I can get behind for a character, for character development. It comes at the very end, and we do nothing with it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It feels like the theme is Cassandra's learning how to be a mom to these other girls.
Yeah, well, when in the hospital, and she's like, "Is this immediate family? They're all mine."
Okay.
And the nurse is like, "Oh, word."
Okay, I guess.
And in my head, I was thinking, I don't know. Maybe I'm way off. Dakota Johnson looks about 10 years older than the girls.
Maybe. And just because those girls look, we're saying they're in high school, even though every one of them's an adult.
Yeah, like I wanted to look it up, but when they're all sitting together, I was like, they all look like a group of friends.
Yes.
Like it doesn't look like. Okay, let's see. Dakota Johnson was born in 89.
Okay. And
Sydney Sweeney is born in 97.
Okay. So it's a little less than 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just, that was like very much like they're all mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Celeste is 98. It's just like, okay.
Celeste is older than Dakota Johnson?
No,
she said 98. 98. Sorry, I'm getting dyslexic. 89. Yeah. Dakota Johnson's 89. Celeste is 98. Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Celeste's been working for a while as a youngin'. If she was in Freaky, that was like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah, she was in she was the bestie in Freaky, really good. She was in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Well,
she was in her first credit is in 2017 in Wetlands.
Okay. We do have a question here. We need to wrap up. We're running a little long, but we had some big news this week. Hema asks, do you think Sony's going to keep beating a dead horse with their Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man, or are they going to give it up?
I don't think this movie's going to make the money.
Yeah, it can't, right?
Well, the only option for it to make them money is the fact that this was under $100 million. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they spent $200 million on this movie.
At least it's not an Argyle.
Yeah, holy shit. But that was exact comparison though, DJ. Yeah. Like watching this, I didn't dislike this more than when I was watching Argyle.
Yeah, I think they're pretty comparable. It is a bummer to not be able to say confidently that Madam Web's the worst movie I've seen this year. That bums me out.
That's the only thing I meant by it's watchable. Like this, like Argyle has a 35 or something, and Madam Web has a 14.
Yeah,
and I think that they should be the same. They're the same to me. Argyle had three times the amount of money spent on it, and watching it was as enjoyable as an experience as Madam Web.
Yeah, my only I think I agree with that. My only issue is when we kept doing like the flashbacks in Madam Web, like the scene, and it's like, God, I just want this movie to end. Don't play the scene over again. Please just move forward.
Madam Web was 2 hours, and it didn't earn that.
But anyway, yeah, I think you're right. And there's no way that Craven, nobody's excited for these movies that I know about. Like nobody's excited for Craven.
August, right? Like that's like a summer. I guess summer is the right time for this type of movie. I don't know though, because I actually enjoy the Venom movies.
They are the best of this batch. I don't know.
When that's your ceiling, like that should be your
floor.
That needs to be your floor.
Yeah, fun, not great, but fun. That should be the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, but that's your ceiling.
God.
And that's tough. So, do I think that they're going to move forward with this? I don't know what their options are here. Like, what do you do? Reboot?
Just stop with these and the thing that baffles
what do they
me
do with the
that's what I think like what kind of baffles me is that having just rewatched Across the Spider-Verse for Spider-Versity, it's like they've given you the answer right here. Do a live action Spider-Man 2099. Back the money truck up to
they do that
to fucking why did I just blank? Do a Spider-Gwen movie. Fucking why? You just saw Poor Things, which stars
Emma Stone.
You back the money up truck to Emma Stone and say, "Hey, do you want to come back as Spider-Gwen, an alternate universe Gwen Stacy?" Why not? Right?
I don't know.
Because that seems like a slam dunk. Like I'm not saying it's better. Like granted, it's not as diverse and they're all spider people. But that's better than Madam Web and Morbius. Like, just do the Spider People. It would be the option, I would think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they should do on this one. Small. They need $25 million budget movies for these.
Yeah.
If they want to make money, they need to go small. They need to strip this down.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Roxy, where can the kids find you?
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can find the show everywhere that matters at Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter/X.
You didn't get the vowels from stupid.
And please, as we've said before, go to gunplaymovie.com. Back this movie. We got a little over a week left. We could really use your support. If we don't reach our funding goal, the movie does not happen. And I think you all really dig it. If you want to know more, you can watch the video on the channel. But you can get a bunch of cool stuff like a signed poster from this cast and a lot more. Gunplaymovie.com. Link in the description. Go check it out. And we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.